And without further ado, we are going to turn it over to Matt and our other featured speakers.
Thanks, Megan. Good morning, everybody. Just by way of introduction, my name is Matt LeRoux. I'm an ag marketing consultant. I also work as an extension associate with Cornell University. And prior to that, I've worked for some branded meat companies and as an extension agent in a county office for many years. I'm just going to also introduce this session by saying that Practical Farmers of Iowa has received a grant to develop a new marketing entity which would facilitate the sale of pasture-raised meats through value-added marketing channels. And I'll explain value-added marketing channels in my presentation. A brick and mortar store was the original concept, but with the development of the pandemic, we're also really thinking about online models. So we're thinking both online and perhaps brick and mortar. I've been hired, through Cornell to research business models and to help develop a feasibility study or business plan for this entity. In addition to Megan from Practical Farmers, 3 farmer entrepreneurs who will introduce themselves shortly have been working on this concept for about 2 years, including with input from many other Iowa producers. At this stage, we've determined that the company would offer marketing services to Iowa livestock farmers, including multiple different species and using a variety of pasture-based production systems. There are a lot of collaborative marketing business models out there, and I will do a short introduction to some of those to get us kind of all on the same page for this roundtable discussion. Topics that we do not really want to discuss during this session are the merits of different production systems, right? We're talking about marketing, so production is done when marketing begins. So we're not going to discuss various production systems like grass-fed and so on. We're not going to talk about pricing because that's a specific we're just really not ready to get into. We're not going to talk about meat processing capacity or meat processing issues that we know you're all experiencing. And finally, we're not looking to try to inventory the number of animals that are out there in this session. So just know that those are topics, while important, that we want to use this session as best as possible. So what would be most valuable when we open up this discussion is to hear about different marketing models and features of marketing models that interest folks and why they're interested. I'll turn it over.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, Wendy, can we hear from you next?
Hi, my name is Wendy Johnson, and I just first off want to say thank you all for attending this session. We have over 60 people here, and all of your input is so important, and so thank you. Thank you so much. I own and manage Joya Food Farm. It's a direct marketing farm business, and I aggregate product from other local producers as well and sell those products, as well as sell the products that we produce on our farm, which is primarily meat raised using regenerative and humane practices. I also grow, manage, and market organic and conventional crops, grain crops. I graze pastures and cover crops and plant and maintain habitats on about 1,200 acres in Floyd County. As involved as I am in PFI and as a direct marketer, I see so many of us doing the same things. And I wondered to myself how we can work together to make bigger impact across the Iowa landscape, and how we can, as direct marketers, be more resilient while growing our farms and businesses. Soil and water are our most precious resources, right? And we lack farmers in Iowa. So livestock is a great way to grow and protect Iowa's soils and food farmers. So my biggest hope with 99 counties is to see change in Iowa's landscape, bring more food farmers to the countryside, and see that it is a viable way of life, which in turn revitalizes rural communities. And it will help us see improvements in our soils and water and air. So I see 99 counties as a future vision for Iowa. Thank you.
Caleb, can you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name is Caleb Baker. My wife Rebecca and I own and operate RC Farm just outside of Clearfield, Iowa, in southwest Iowa. I'm a 5th generation baker to take over our farm. I grew up on the farm with my grandfather and father. As I started trying to farm, going full-time or trying to go full-time, I realized that I would need to change something in order to be more sustainable on the small amount of acres that we farm. So I started researching alternative farming methods that might potentially be more profitable per acre. This led me down the path of regenerative farming, and to the likes of Gabe Brown and Ray Archuleta and Elaine Ingham. As I learned more about regenerative farming, I started learning more about soil health and how soil health affects plant health, which in turn affects animal and our health as well. As I learned more about soil health and the direct link to healthy food, I had this aha moment. The crops and cattle that I grow and raise on my farm eventually end up on someone's dinner plate. So, it's right then and there I decided that I wanted to change the way I was farming. So I began to transition our farm to organic and raise my cattle on pasture with my focus on soil health and increasing biodiversity. And through this led me to a PFI grazing group, where actually I met Megan for the first time, and we hit it off talking about the difficulties that farmers face when trying to market their products. So this led to ongoing discussion about starting a meat marketing business, which then led me to Nick and Wendy, and we have been in the works, for the last couple of years, trying to establish 99 counties and create this business. So I guess that's a little bit of my background.
Thanks, Caleb. All right, Nick, introduce yourself and give folks a bit of insight around 99 counties.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nick Wallace. I live about 30 miles west of Cedar Rapids and 4 miles south of Keystone, Iowa. We have a 160-acre farm, Century Family Farm, since 1894. I have about 100 beef cows, grass-fed beef production. I've dabbled in sheep, poultry, had a bunch of laying hens until my coop blew away, probably ended up in Cedar Rapids in August. So right now we're focusing on rebuilding and taking care of the cattle. About 20 years ago, we started a grass-fed and natural nutrient-dense meat company called Wallace Farms. Since then, I've had a couple of other projects with Nick Sticks and trying to start Rolling Prairie, and just always trying to create kind of an entrepreneur minded business around Iowa and nutrient dense foods. And that came from a health scare that I had when I was 19 years old, back in 98, 97, that I had cancer. So that really spun our family into the direction of nutrient dense food. And my father was actually a member of PFI at that time. So introduced me to PFI, and I've been a member ever since, and really enjoy the community. I mean, the first thing when people ask me about agriculture and what they should pay attention to, and who can they tap into, it's my first response is always PFI, and so it's very close to my heart. So I live here on the farm with my 3 young children and my wife. And we've transitioned a couple other neighboring farms to organic. So I'm doing my best. I'm learning about regenerative and trying to be more regenerative in my approach all the time. So as you know, farming is you have 40 chances, and then you've got it all figured out, and then you're done. So so that's a little bit about me. So about a year ago, we all got together and started talking about an idea that I wanted to pursue after I was at the Acres conference, and in December of last year. So on the way home, it dawned on me that we need to build the state of Iowa back from one farm within one county, and then all those counties becoming united. And that's not just farmers. There, in my idea and what we've discussed and built is, and this is just the we're in the infancy of it, but it's 3 platforms. It's a farmers platform, it's a Main Street and small towns and business platform, and then a consumer platform. And so we're coming all together today as mostly on a farmer focus. And that's where we think it starts. I mean, we've got to repair the soils in Iowa. you know, it took us 50 years to get here, and I hope it doesn't take us 50 years to repair them. I think Mother Nature will work sooner than that. But if we start with the soil, we as farmers have to get back to growing food, nutrient dense food, not just 2 crops. That's all controlled by, you know, a few companies. So once we start growing that food, we've got to be able to value add that food, and that's going to be through livestock that needs to be processed and butchered, and vegetables and fruits that have to be curated and fermented and packaged and processed. And then we've got to have, and that's going to move through our Main Street platform. And then we've got to have consumers that realize that their health is directly related to the soil. You know, we are all the components of what soil is, you know. And so I think that is just beginning. And I think this is a perfect time to realize that our immune systems and our health is probably the most important thing we can focus on. And so our idea is to bring 99 counties all together, one county at a time, create community, right? What we're trying to build, what we have here at PFI is a very strong community. What we're trying to build is community on the smallest level, me and sitting in Benton County. And how many farmers can I build a community with here? How many small businesses? And then those communities start talking to each other. And then what we can do is intertwine and weave those communities into a larger scale. And then we become Iowa as a community. And we export this, we open source this to Illinois, Minnesota. I mean, all the great states that can work together and harness and export and import what they're best at. So in a nutshell, that is that's my dream, that's our dream, and that's what I'm going to pursue in my lifetime. I'm 43. You know, let's say I got another good 40 in me, but that's the goal. That's what I want to wake up and spend my time doing. So, all right, there you go.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, Matt, let's dive into your presentation.
Sure. Thank you. Sharing my screen, and hopefully that worked. Yeah, it worked?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, I think, you know, there's a great, I'm really excited to be included in this process because you guys have a vision and an opportunity, but also you're starting from this point where you can design, and I mean you, all the participants of this session, can design this entity to function in the way that would serve you best. So I'm just gonna, like I said, to get us all up to speed, talk about different collaborative marketing models, just to bring everybody around on the different models that are out there. There are many more than even that I'll present on, but I'll give you the general idea. And the question is, how can this entity, this single business, assist multiple farms to reach value-added markets? So I'm just going to define a few things for us. A value-added channel is a channel that's differentiated from commodity channels. So not to be confused with value-added products, which are extra processed products like beef jerky. We're talking about value-added channels, which are just all those channels which are differentiated from commodity channels and which therefore offer better than commodity pricing. And then the term fulfillment is sort of a new term. It's, you know, with online ordering and during the pandemic, what fulfillment means is once the customer has purchased the item, how do we get it to them? Whether that's home delivery or they come and pick it up, or you know, even a store has a fulfillment. Just that's what I mean. I'm going to divide the marketing responsibilities up into these various steps, and I'm going to shade them as we go through the models as either blue being the farm's responsibility or yellow a responsibility or a function that's served by the company. What we have is greater brand identity. A farm would have to maintain its visibility and its identity in its community, in its market. Then there's specific advertising and promotion, which are specific efforts to generate new customers and new sales. Then there's meat processing, and what I mean here is that the farm is responsible for booking and their appointments with the processor. Not that they're doing the meat processing, but they're the responsible party. Pricing, which means the farm sets prices for their products. And then we have the sales function, which could be online or in person, let's say at a farmer's market. And finally, the fulfillment, getting it to the customer. So as I go through the models, I'll have these boxes shaded either blue or yellow. want you to think about the implications of various marketing models. One that comes right to mind is the price per pound received, and I'm going to talk about that as a price per pound carcass weight. At the top of this chart, I have independent farm marketing, not collaborative farm marketing, right? So think about a farmer's market example. The farm is setting the price, and arguably it's the highest price per pound that we can receive for our products because we're taking on all of the effort. And at the bottom, in dark purple, I have what we call branded or co-op programs. These are programs that buy your animals from you and go out and market them, like a Neiman Ranch, for example. That's the lowest price per pound that you receive. But put that in the perspective of that a branded program does not take a lot of marketing effort from the farm, right? That company will do all of their own marketing. In essence, you're loading animals into a trailer, receiving a check. So low prices do not have a direct correlation to profitability, because we also have to keep in mind the amount of marketing labor that the farm is going to be involved in. High price channels tend to come with high responsibility requirements. And the last thing that kind of moves around as we look through different models is the ability to have product diversity. When 10 farms are all marketing independently at farmers markets, they can have complete control over their product and in essence have very broad diversity, closely trimmed cuts, cuts with more fat, bone in, not bone in, different production systems, different thicknesses of the steaks, right? So there's room for lots of product diversity. As we move down through these examples and we get to the bottom, a branded program needs to have a lot of consistency from all their suppliers. And so there's less opportunity for diversity in the product. That's where we see things like production protocols come in. So first example, just to start us off, not collaborative farm marketing is independent farm marketing. And this example, like a farmer's market example, or even an online ordering example that's an independent farm, the farm is responsible for all the marketing activities. When we get into collaborative farm marketing, like certified and promotion programs, what happens is these programs like Choose Iowa, they pick a feature, a value-added feature like locally grown or pasture-raised or humanely handled, and they loan some brand identity to the farm, and they also do some of the work of reaching consumers. So I put that under advertising and promotion under their unified idea. I'm going to lump into this generic sort of buy local promotion programs. I ran one here in New York State called Meat Suite. All we did was promote the idea of buying your meat directly from farms. We had a directory, we had a logo, so we offered some marketing services to our members. Beyond that, they were completely independent for pricing and sales and processing. Then we have this idea that there could be an enhanced certified program where maybe there's a higher level of marketing services. So just like the previous example, but maybe the company's offering graphic design and marketing services, some assistance with advertising, assistance with branding and package and label design, maybe website design. Not aware of an example, but I wanted to throw this out there as an idea that the company could lend even more marketing services while leaving the farms alone to do independent marketing. Then we have what's called a coordinated independent sales model. So if you're familiar with eBay or perhaps Etsy, Etsy's a site where craft and artisans can list their products. The Etsy site or the the coordinated site offers a lot of advertising and promotion and facilitates sales. So they bring customers to the site. They loan some identity, brand identity to the farm or the crafter. But you're still alone on developing your own products, setting your prices, and listing your products. Sales are facilitated through that company, and then you're responsible for fulfillment. So an eBay seller, they list any item they want, any price they want. It's sold through the site, and then they're responsible to ship it off. So it's a nice hybrid model where you have kind of a mixture of responsibilities. And there are a lot of various farm to market models, and we've seen a lot of these spring up as a response to COVID. A lot of them are using home delivery. So it's a collection of farms under a single name, marketing, reaching the consumers with that name, like the Iowa Food Co-op, accepting orders and then facilitating sales and maybe even facilitating fulfillment. The idea here is that this is a unified company that has one face to the consumer public, but the farm still owns the product at the time of sale. So farms are still fairly independent. There's a lot of room for diversity of products. Then there's a live animal aggregation. I didn't draw little pictures for this because this is just one model from Virginia, West Virginia. where they're pooling animals, live animals, and selling them to buyers who want tractor trailer load lots. So they're pooling and sorting animals, grading them according to similar traits like weight and body conformation score. There's a USDA grader present at these sales. And when they pool and sort cattle this way, or it would work for other species as well, the buyers pay premium prices. They also have some production protocols. So animals have to be vaccinated and weaned according to those protocols in order to get into the program, but it's a value-added channel that's kind of at the simplest level. I'm just going to mention, fast, because I think we all know about retail stores and distributors. These are companies which will now buy your product from you. So at the time of sale to the consumer, the company owns that product. You can work with them on pricing. You can have some influence on pricing, but they're going to set the retail price on the shelf. And when it comes to the meat processing, again, this is a company that's buying your packaged meat in order to sell it in their store. So you're still responsible for product development. You have a lot of influence over product diversity, but you get shared benefit of these boxes that are shaded in yellow, so these responsibilities. And the last one that I'll introduce is called a branded program or cooperative program. Companies like Strauss and Nyman Ranch, they have strict production protocols, but what's nice about these is that you're still in a value-added channel. You're many farms marketing under one entity, so you're getting all the benefits of that, and yet the farm doesn't have much individual marketing responsibility, right? They're loading animals onto a trailer, marketing through this company, and then receiving a check. So this is a great sort of hands-off option if you're not crazy about being involved in direct-to-consumer marketing. And as I introduced these, it was just to kind of draw a picture of what all is out there. I want you to keep in mind that there are different ways that you can take pieces of these ideas that you liked and stick them together to form a new thing. That's why I said in the beginning, it's exciting for me to see that you have the opportunity to build the company that you want. Another idea that was introduced by the planning group was that there could be different tiers of participation. So maybe some farms want to be more involved in their own brand identity and marketing, and some might be willing to participate at a different level. So think of different hybrids, like maybe a company that buys animals and cuts carcasses in-house to retail that meat, but also buys prepackaged meat from individual farms that want to participate. So maybe different levels of participation. Before I end, I just want to mention there's a link here that we can put in the chat box as well. We're going to open up this roundtable discussion, but if the discussion, if our time together ends and something occurs to you or you'd like to discuss any of these models or the implications, you can book a 10-minute appointment with me, and I will meet with you later this afternoon in Zoom, and we can, I can hear your ideas, and I welcome that. So I hope you'll take advantage. If you click that link, you can book an appointment, and I'll get your email and contact you. So I think that I want to kick off discussion with the group by asking this: having seen these models and their features, the different features that they offer, what collaborative farm marketing models or individual features interest you and why? Or to rephrase that question, what services could this new entity offer that would enable you to develop your vision for your farm? And this is your chance to.
So if you could add your comments or questions in the box, and I'll start calling on you to unmute.
And I'll repeat the second question just for helpfulness. What services could this new entity offer to your farm that would enable you to develop and grow your farm with the vision that you have for it? And yeah, I wish we were all sitting in the same room too. Okay, so you're welcome to raise your hand or chat, and then we'll let you unmute, because it'd be great to hear from folks rather than restricting you to typing in the chat box. I did see that so a lot of people are choosing to chat. I would encourage you to unmute just because otherwise it'll be me reading from the chat box, which isn't as fun as getting to see and hear from all of you. I get that, you know, that technology is a different way to have a group discussion.
Oh, Matt, this is Gary Huber. The distribution function, I used to manage the Iowa Food Cooperative, and that was a logistical kind of like nightmare to be able to sort of funnel our product into a central location and get it to the people that wanted it. But the two things I think about is customer acquisition. And I'm curious about the trade area that you're thinking about for this particular enterprise. I mean, and then that whole thing about getting the product fulfillment, you mentioned it there at the beginning. So those are just some thoughts that I am throwing at you to get the conversation going. So
yes, thanks. So when you mentioned customer acquisition, you're saying that it would be really a great service if this company would find the customers for folks and bring them in. Yeah, I agree. And thanks for that input. Megan, can you maybe help me with the chat box, because just hard for me to
Absolutely.
at the same time.
And I see that Bob asked something about state certified processing, mobile processing. We're going to avoid that question for now. We could spend an hour on processing alone. We could spend days on it. And so this isn't the place for that. We're going to stick to marketing.
Hey, Matt. This is
yes.
Bob Walker. And I'm part of Iowa Wine Growers, and we have a bunch of independent wineries throughout the state. And they put together marketing materials for all the wineries that consumers can easily go to the wineries. Would that be something that this could do, is say, hey, for your local meats, or if we take a look at checkoff boxes, would we be able to promote local Iowa farms, local Iowa farm products, where consumers would know about us?
Yeah, I think that's the basic idea. Could you expand on what the Wine Growers does? So is there a unified entity that then is promoting all the wineries? Can you just sort of fill out the picture?
Right. So the Iowa Wine Growers is kind of like PFI. They do have a lobbyist with the state, but then we do wine trails and promotions that way on the website. It says what wineries are around. We do a great stop at the state fair to make people aware of Iowa wines. You know, we also have wine competitions, and you know, that conference was right before this one, you know, on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Does the Wine Growers Association facilitate sales, or is it really promoting individual wineries to conduct their own sales?
They don't. With Iowa Wines, we can self-distribute, but they help us in self-distributing. And they have looked, Hy-Vee is our big grocery store here, and how do we get shelf space in Hy-Vee stores and stuff like that. So most of our grocery stores have shelf space for Iowa wines now.
See, Tom Quinn asked, how did the planning group get organized and what was the process? Did one of our other farm panelists want to talk a little bit about the development of this thus far?
Nick, could you do that?
Yeah, so I alluded to sitting at the Acres Conference in December, listening to Rahi at Regenerative Agriculture. I know it used to be Main Street Project, but it's the tree range model. So as I'm sitting there, if you're not familiar with tree range model, it's really a great concept that takes the 3 acres and can allow people to grow beautiful raised chickens, both laying hens or eggs, and on limited land and make a pretty good income and grow really nutrient dense food, as well as hazelnuts, elderberries, and, you know, other perennial crops. So as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, you know, there should be a tree range poultry producer in every county. Imagine what 99 counties of tree range producers would. So I get my calculator out and I'm running numbers and I'm thinking, I mean, what if there was 2 or 3? And then I'm thinking, why wouldn't every school have a tree range model attached to, you know, attached to the kitchen? I mean, not literally, but you know what I'm saying? They could raise all their own chicken. They could, I mean, and then it just started cascading. And that's where, and I had frustration. I was actually frustrated leaving, thinking, how the hell are we ever going to change agriculture? I felt like I've been in this for 20 years. And I think sometimes we are in a little bit of a silo, an echo chamber. Because as I keep driving through Iowa, as I do all my deliveries and drops, all I'm still seeing is corn and soybeans and chemical and GMO farming. And I'm not seeing the diversity. I'm not seeing landscape and fences and livestock outside. So that the frustration turned into, how the hell are we going to, is one farm in one county going to make a difference? And then the tree range model hit me. And then it's like, you know what, 99 counties, if we start multiplying farmers and then multiplying food, and then my marketing took over, and then I'm thinking, you know, Keystone. I mean, if you've ever been through Keystone, don't blink. I mean, there's nothing here. No offense. I mean, and I talked to my dad and I'm like, what did Keystone used to be? And he's like, oh my God, the town street was packed. We had a grocery store, we had a baker, we had a little cafe, we had a bowling alley. I mean, it was like, it was vibrant. It's 1960. So what we've lost is, and I'm not saying we're going to get back to exactly where we were. I mean, times have changed, but we have let go of building community, and we've let go of raising food. And so that cascaded into, man, this is an ambitious project. I'm surely, I've already got 2 full-time jobs. I'm surely not going to be able to do this myself. So being part of PFI, I reached out to Megan. She's been instrumental. Wendy, Caleb came along. And so the 4 of us just started talking every couple of weeks. And we surely don't have all the answers. I mean, this is and if you've listened to my 2 videos on 99 counties, this plan needs to build together. It's going to be ambitious. We need to use a hybrid of, and Matt's going to be great at this. We're going to need to use a hybrid of all different types of models. We don't have to be a co-op. We don't have to be a hub. This is a perfect time to build the infrastructure of processing and marketing and distribution. And one other point. So I look at my 3 kids, 11 years old, 8-year-olds, and 4-year-old. One of them may raise cows and chickens and, you know, take this farm over. All of them might want to. Maybe none of them do. But I'm thinking, look at the marketplaces and the jobs and where we're at now. What world are they going to live into where they can go and find a fulfilling job and fulfill their passions and make a living? What if 99 counties could be an opportunity to vertically integrate? So you've got your farmers, you've got somebody who wants to bake bread, you've got somebody who wants to code for IT to build out the interactive map of when you travel through Iowa. And you talked about wineries. If I'm on my phone and my app and I'm in Northwest Iowa, I have no idea what's up there. But if I know there's an app that says 99 counties and I can tap into your winery and somebody who's making real food from scratch that is combining with all the other producers in Iowa that's growing food, I'm going to feel good about taking my kids there. And then, so that, you know, you're coding. And then what if I have a kid who wants to meet and talk to people and deliver food, or he wants to be a cook? So you see there's 20, 29, 35 jobs all stacked within 99 counties. And so, you know, we've got everybody leaving Iowa. Maybe they're coming back now, but they're, you know, coming back to work in insurance or big ag. I'm trying to create a future that all 3 of my kids could jump into, because I know they're all different. And so I hope that answers your question, but we can build this together and we can make it super unique. and funded by all sources. So not one person or one group owns it all. And so that's my vision.
I want to move to Martha's question. And Martha, I'm curious if you could unmute yourself and start a conversation about your weakest links, and ask others about their weakest links in marketing and what they wish they had on their farm or for their farm.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. It sounds like really your vision is just finding ways to start getting more Iowans to be eating food that's grown locally. And then in those terms, getting more people on board than just the people that are here, but in the long run, really transforming part of rural Iowa. So I love that. And thank you so much for the work that you guys have been doing. My comment was, I think I really love this because I think most of us as farmers don't get into farming so that we can go into marketing. And that marketing takes us off of the farm. I've chosen not to do farmers markets for that reason. It just felt like I was juggling too many pieces being just myself here on the farm. So I would say that is my weakest link for sure, or just time at my desk, because there's so many things on the farm on any given day that I'm trying to juggle and I'm trying to balance, and I can get on Facebook and I can get the word out there. But I live 4 miles on a gravel road off of the nearest highway. So trying to convince people to come to me is a challenge, and I've had to figure out how to handle that. So I think that Gary's comment and consistently in meetings, that's my feeling, is that that middleman, or how do I get my product a space in a grocery store? But I'm curious what other people's experiences have been, or what, and also maybe what it would take to want to join in on a label, or maybe a label wouldn't be something you would want to join in on.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to hear other folks too. Do you say, would I want to join a group label like the Wine Growers Association? What level of independence, what level of group marketing, where do you folks fall? And you don't, you can share short idea with us, or you can talk longer.
So we'd love to hear from you now, but also I will point out that we created a poll, and that poll can be found on the conference platform for this webpage. And you could either fill it out now or when this session is over, but there's 2 questions there that will help us gauge. It's just another way to capture information from all of you on what you're most excited about around marketing models. But who else would like to share around their weakest links around marketing?
Oh, whoops. I was responding to something else. You can tell me to shut up if you want. I think it might be helpful. So Barney and I were part of a pork marketing cooperative, and I know other people have sold to, I think John's on here, John Gilbert, and he's a Nyman producer. Just experiencing some of the ups and downs of the different models that exist out there might be helpful. And I know that there's the Thousand Hills Cattle Company, and each one of those, I have to say, from our perspective, one of the downsides, I don't know where it was mentioned in the talk, but about locally owned Iowa grocery stores. But the model that I have seen for getting things into, say, Hy-Vee or Fairway or something like that, same with Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, what they do is they want you so that they can get all the pieces together and figure out the model. And then they'll make their own brand. They'll do their Hy-Vee version of you, and they'll do their Fairway version of you, and you're totally cut out. Now I know Thousand Hills almost like lost their shirt on relying too much on Trader Joe's, because Trader Joe's did that to them. And our company tried to get into Hy-Vee, and Hy-Vee did that to us. We're no longer really a part of it, but I'm just saying don't go down that road.
Yes. Thanks for sharing that. We've seen that with artisan cheese farms out here, they'll create a brand, they'll get into a great grocery chain. And the whole goal of that grocery chain is to ultimately come up with a store branded product that's identical. And
Or buy them out.
undercut them or phase them out. Yeah, buy them out. Thanks for sharing that warning story about some models. Of course, there are also branded programs that still exist successfully and they're still out there. It's not in every case, but definitely something to keep your eyes open about.
Hey, Megan.
Yes.
Your weakest link there for me is like time. I really don't have the time. I'm a producer. Marketing is a whole nother business model. And, and for that reason, I like the branded idea, that I would have a place that I could sell a load of lambs to and get a known price for them and not have to deal with the individual customers and trying to market myself,
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Let me ask, are folks, I'm hearing a theme, which I expected to hear, is that, we really want to focus on production. We're passionate about farming, and farming is production work. And then, I understand you kind of get stuck with marketing. I get that. And in 2019, I came out and got to speak at your conference about meat marketing, try to give you a leg up. I don't know if anybody was at that session, but my question is, what are you doing with your animals now? Do you feel like it all falls apart with finished animals where you don't have a place to market them, or sort of, even Bart who spoke, could you talk about where do your animals go now? Is it not meeting the needs of the farm?
Yes. So primarily I sell my lambs into a sale barn. I'd like to eliminate the middle guy. The sale barn gets 6% right off the top. Before I pay a single bill, they get 6%. And there's other alternatives. I do sell some breeding stock privately, but as I scale up, I need to be able to unload 50,000 pounds of lamb, and that's kind of difficult to do, selling a lamb here and a lamb there to private individuals.
Thank you. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
I'd like to say something. My name is Maya Black, and I am a vegetable and livestock producer in Solon, Iowa. And I just wanted to say that this is something that we've been sort of doing informally with our CSA. Our vegetable CSA model allows us to develop an email list of people that we know are interested in local food. And then we're able to informally, through that, offer opportunities from ourselves with our lamb and other local meat and other product producers to a list of people that we know are already interested in buying local and buying like some of the practices that we like to do. And so something I would be interested in seeing 99 counties do is some of that, developing the list of customers and bringing them through the funnel of being interested in buying local and education, and bringing them to the point of being ready to buy, and then connecting them to producers. Because I think a lot of producers don't know where to start with marketing or don't have time for it. And the biggest part of it is getting the customer to go from interested to ready to buy. And so I think something the brand could offer is moving them through that process.
Thank you.
I'd like to call on Chad Hensley. He has his hand raised.
Thanks. I just want to thank everybody for the work that they're doing. This is really important. I just want to second what some people have said about, being able to easily move some product. I don't have a ton of livestock, but, for example, I had a producer in Leon come to me and we met up and had a meal together. And he said, well, what, if I had a potload of grass-fed beef, grass-finished beef, what would I do with them? And I said, I don't know. I can get rid of about 10 a year, and that's, you know, hard work for me. And so I think just getting a system in place so that someone who's producing conventional beef could, you know, make that change they want to. There's producers that want to scale and, you know, make a large change in their production. But if there's no market for it, you know, it makes it challenging. So I just wanted to, you know, second that and give a thumbs up to all the work that you guys are doing with it.
Thanks. Yeah, there's a real chicken and egg is what I'm hearing. You know, there's the production side and then there's the consumer buying side, and growing them evenly is a challenge. And that's something that we hope this company could help sync up a bit.
Sarah Carlson, can you unmute yourself and talk a bit about the scaling issue and institutional buying and your thoughts?
Sorry, I'm bombarding the chat. I don't have any skin in this game because I don't even raise livestock. But like, we have to remember, like, corn farmers don't market corn, right? The commodity groups market corn. And so, like, I think we need to have that mindset. So like, one thing we've been trying to do with small grains is think like, okay, we can't just like sell a wagon or a semi-load of small grains to change the landscape. We got to have piles of small grains and find alternative uses for it until we could maybe ever reach like the Cheerios market. Like, we're never going to get to that scale until we start having piles that are in alternative markets. So like, Matt, I was just thinking about your marketing list. And so like, we have the price differentiation per pound, but what about the volume differentiation? Like, can we give up on price if we're moving 5,000 head a week as opposed to, right? Can we give up on pounds? And it's like, Nick, are you thinking about that? And then like, if we're going to do standalone sales, I think that's risky because we don't have a commitment from finicky customers, but we have nursing homes and schools that purchase annually millions of dollars. And we could have state mandates that say like, any nursing home getting public dollars, and Chad Ingalls, I know you're on this call right now, any nursing home getting public dollars, you have to purchase at least 5% locally grown Iowa meat. Like, screw the grocery stores, right? I mean, Seth Watkins, that's a great idea. I love it. But like, Hy-Vee, let's get honest, they've never really come to the table. But schools get public dollars. And so we could tie public mandates, scale more easily. I don't know.
Thanks for that. Yeah, there's a trade-off in volume and price for sure, right? The high, it's a great point to bring in. Farmers markets are my classic example. You know, farmers markets, the highest price you could receive for your meat. That's great, it's a high price. The volume of product that you could move through the farmers market is actually relatively limited. As you move through that continuum that we had on that slide earlier, you get into higher and higher volumes, losing price. So there's all these factors, and I guess that's the point that, you know, of this session, is to hear from you all what is repulsive and what sounds good as you move around in these price, volume, you know, production protocols. I've worked with New England farmers who, when you talked about production protocols, basically cursed you out of the room. And I wanted to hear from you all, you know, how do you feel about that? And I think there was a great question in here again from Martha. She posed the question to you all: how important is your farm's identity and branding to you, right? I guess that's some of the other trade-offs. If you knew you had a ready market for your product and you didn't really have as strong a brand identity, not to say that you wouldn't have one, you know, how attractive is that? So anyone that would like to comment on any one of those ideas and just give us a sense of where you fall as and how that helps you reach your goals for what you're doing.
Can I just say something? I think that Sarah and Nathan have had their hands patiently up for a really long time, and I'm really a jerk, and so I just butt in. So
Thank
maybe
you.
We're going to get to them, Suzanne.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't see them though. Happy to say there's 80 of you on, and I can only see 20 on my screen.
So, okay, so let's hear from Nathan.
So I have a couple thoughts, and some of them have been mentioned in the comments, so I'm not going to go through it too much. But one of the biggest challenges for me is my producing a consistent product into a consistent demand. You know, the year before I sold 9 beef. This year I'm on track to sell 20. And for me, from a labor standpoint, sometimes that's a little bit easier, but I struggle with consistency of product when all of a sudden demand doubles. And as I'm trying to make changes in the farming operation, some of them, I think Sarah Carlson commented too, of like to make those changes to a more grass finished operation versus a pasture raised and, you know, feedlot type finished, to have those customers come along with me. And then, you know, we said we're not going to talk about processing, but the consistency of being able to get those appointments, processing appointments, and fill them is a challenge when, you know, you don't know where demand's going to be. Another 10 head of beef is, you know, for me, another 30 customers. And so that the work of onboarding those customers, getting them through the process, a bunch of them are great. They're like, we don't care, just put us down again for next year. We'll be there. And we'll pay whatever.
Hey, Nathan.
But some are a lot more finicky maybe about what they're going to follow along. So sorry, Maggie, go ahead.
I just was hearing some horrible feedback. Can all of you hear that, or does it sound normal? Is it better now? Thank you, Nathan.
So that, and I echo some of Sarah's comments on the volume versus, you know, commitment and price. And I like the customers that I have. That's great, but I don't need my own label. You know, if somebody else wants to work on you know, if my stuff goes under somebody else's label or an organizational label, I'm 100% okay with that, and I'll work to bring my customers into that system. So
we have 5 minutes left. I'm going to call on Sarah Schub. Sarah, we can't hear you. Sorry, we can't hear you. Margaret Chamas.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any grand solutions, but I'm kind of in the midst of some of this discussion. There is a local co-op that opened near me. I don't know if co-op is the right word legally. They're still starting that out, but their idea is sell products that are from local farmers, kind of consignment style. I sent them a whole bunch of meat. If it sells, they pay me a agreed upon rate that I set. So I'm still in charge of my marketing, and to an extent I have to react to other prices in the store. You know, if my beef is $1 higher a pound than someone else's, I need to adjust my prices, and I can do that. And they've been open maybe 3 months, if that. I'm with a friend here. And they're already saying, we want to do a subscription model. We want to work with the restaurants. And I'm trying to tell them slow down, because they want to know what I'm going to produce this year for them. I'm like, hang on, you can't tell me, you need to be able to tell me that, yes, we're going to buy 200 chickens from you at X each before I'm willing to buy 200 chicks. So yeah, we're having some of that same issue where I don't think everyone realizes the scale and the commitment that's necessary. I think the conversations need to start earlier. Like, and then I'd said them flat out, I'm like, are you buying my product and then reselling it to these restaurants? Or are you marketing my product for me to these restaurants? Whose label goes on it? Who buys the animals and sends them to the locker? So again, we might be one minor step ahead of where you guys are talking, in that we have this local store, but the growing pains are very, very obvious. And my biggest concern at the moment is that the people running the store they're not farmers themselves. They're figuring this out without having talked to the farmers first, I think.
Thanks, Margaret. Let's hear from Sarah Schub. It looks like she got a pair of earphones. No, we can't hear you. Okay, Bailey.
Something that I'm consistently thinking about is accessibility of product. So that means like dollars, how people are actually like putting their hands on the product, and then a product that they can actually cook with. I think to compete with conventional agriculture, we need to figure out how people, like working class people, can actually like make that choice, considering that like a lot of us work more than full time, and like it can be very challenging to cook with our products in like a time sensitive way that can like feed children and doesn't like just kill people's checkbooks. That it's like a very frustrating thing for me to like hear consistently is about like education, when I think the hardest part of accessing our foods is how people are actually able to pay for it and then cook with it. And that's something I hope that 99 counties can spend a lot of time thinking about, as well as everyone else in this group who isn't maybe engaged with 99 counties.
Thank you, Bailey.
Thank you.
And since we really only have a minute or less left, we recognize that this is such a huge topic, and thank you for initiating this conversation.